kitchen. So many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hello and welcome to our September show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. For those of you who've been watching us from the beginning, this is, I think, our 52nd show. We've been doing this since the beginning of the pandemic. My name is Dilla Barman in North Carolina. I'm a Physicians Committee Food for Life instructor. We, as Food for Life instructors, a handful of Food for Life instructors at the beginning of the pandemic, started this monthly program. We go kitchen to kitchen and we share healthy, vegan, whole food, plant-based recipes. And we have giveaways. So we're excited about today's show. It's So Many Cruciferous Vegetables. And cruciferous vegetables are named because their flower has 4 petals and it's a cross shape. And so you may be familiar with cauliflower and broccoli. Did you know radish is a cruciferous vegetable? There's a lot of cruciferous vegetables. I'll put up a link to our recipes. We have a recipe document and you can read our recipes. Hi, Krista. And at the end of our recipe document, Brenda Davis, my favorite nutritionist, always has a nice appendix. So you can see her appendix. The special thing about this show is that my good friend Cody, my daughter and I visited her this summer in Nebraska. I think it was the very end of June, very beginning of July. We were on our way to a conference in Kansas City. So we visited her in Omaha and we said, wouldn't it be great to cook together? So the first segment is not live, it's pre-recorded. I'm about to hit play and you'll see me going back in time talking about being in September. So the first one is Cody and me together. We did a recipe with Brussels sprouts and cranberries. Hi Lee. So keep your questions coming. I am behind the computer, so I can help answer questions as well as the rest of the team. So I think you'll enjoy today's show. Let me roll tape. Let me roll them, and then we'll transition from the recording to the other presenters. So enjoy. I'll be back. We have a special Q&A today. Not only do we have a giveaway, but Karen Osborne actually is going to not cook today, but she's going to be on at the very beginning of the Q&A, giving a 5 or 7 minute detailed discussion about cruciferous vegetable nutrition. So feel free to ask questions, but starting when Karen starts talking and we do the Q&A, then we'll take notes of who asks, and then you'll be in the drawing for our 2 prizes. So hang tight, we'll be back, but let's see Cody and me in Nebraska from, I think it was July 1st or something. So enjoy. Welcome to the September show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. My name is Dilla Barman.
And I'm Cody Stubbe.
And we're both in, not North Carolina, but
Omaha, Nebraska.
It's great to see you, Cody.
Great to see you too, Dilla. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, we've had a great visit. My daughter and I had we're going to a conference in Kansas City, and we got to spend a couple days. This is actually right around 4th of July. Today's what, July 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's July 2nd. And we decided that we knew the September show was about so many cruciferous vegetables. Mm-hmm. And we decided, since we're together, to make a recording. So we're enjoying hot weather. You know what it's like in September.
Yeah, it's usually pretty warm and dry.
Still warm. And we actually don't know who else is cooking. So,
right.
But we're delighted. It's always great to spend time with you, Cody.
You too, Dilla. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us. So today's show is So Many Cruciferous Vegetables, and we'll start the cooking and then we'll talk more about the nutrition. So we're using Cody's induction burner, and it's going to be loud in a moment. So all the recipes will be written up, and all I'm doing is I'm adding some onion, no oil. I think we're going to need more of the onion. I'm glad you have the onion there.
Let's
grab a little bit more.
Some more.
We were just creating this recipe yesterday and today, and Cody's like me, we often figure things out
Let's add all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. She loves onions. I like onions. We have a show on onions. I'm going to, before sharing more, I'm going to go ahead and add, we have Brussels sprouts. This is an example of a cruciferous vegetable. Cruciferous vegetables are known as cruciferous because their flower has a cross pattern. So Brussels sprouts is one of theirs. And what I did is I put a little sprinkling of vinegar. We wanted balsamic vinegar. I'm going to reduce the heat just a bit.
Organic brown rice vinegar that we chose to try.
Yeah, so I did a little sprinkling. We wanted balsamic, we didn't find it, so we're using levy vinegar. I'm going to add the Brussels sprouts, and what we did, I'll reserve one, put the rest in. So I let the onions cook just for a minute. Look at that.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts are my favorite cruciferous vegetables. What's your favorite, Bullet?
I like Brussels sprouts a lot. I didn't realize that kale is also a cruciferous vegetable, so that might be my favorite.
Yeah, you love kale too, don't you?
Are you happy cutting with that much Brussels sprouts, or should we add some more?
I think that's good.
Okay, so this will make enough for about 3 or 4 servings. So we're just going to let that cook down, and we'll talk a little about the nutrition, but I wanted to mention how we cut the Brussels sprouts. So both of us did some prep yesterday. So we cut the Brussels sprout in half, and then you can remove any discolored outer leaves, and then we made a V. But this is particularly fibrous here. Now, both she and I said we don't always do that, right?
I never do. This is the first time I've done it, actually. I didn't even know people did this. I just would cook it a little bit longer with a little bit of moisture in there, so.
I sometimes do, I sometimes don't, but it's recommended that you remove that V. It's a darker white. Maybe we should have kept the one intact. It's a darker white, and it's just more fibrous. If you don't do it, no big deal.
Yeah, it's just a little chewier. I guess I've been making my family suffer. Chewing hard.
We want to cook on medium, so I'm just going to reduce the heat a bit. Tony doesn't use this burner that often, and I've never used it, so...
Need to go get some filtered water for that.
Yeah, so you can't see the pan, but the onion has... It was too high of a temperature, and so the onion has cooked too quickly, so I have to reduce the heat. And this is good because we're showing you sometimes when you cook not in your kitchen, what can happen. This is Cody's kitchen, but she hasn't used this pan recently. So we have no oil, and since the onion has stuck a bit, when we add some liquids a little later, the acid will help clean it up. So cruciferous vegetables, some vegetables in the family of cruciferous vegetables include cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, bok choy, and Brussels sprouts. I was surprised also that kale and spinach are cruciferous vegetables. So their flowers have 4 petals, and it looks a little bit like a plus.
Smack a little bit in there?
No. Did you want to add it?
Well, I just thought it was sticking, so I...
It's actually just the onion.
Okay.
And the acid. I have a joy of getting it for another reason. I like to cook. Well, it's really fun cooking with a friend, because we're both very good at cooking and we have different tricks. So we're trying to create something that combines both of our strengths. And I like cooking without any liquid at this point, because I don't dilute the nutrients. But if you want to add some liquid, go ahead and explain. Just for the sticking, is what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes those onions can stick, and then if they're stuck there, then they're just kind of burned. I try to avoid that, but this is looking good. Smells really good.
Well, the good news about the onion is because it was really our fault for not being more careful with the temperature, but that's okay. We're going to add some chives, and did you want to talk a little bit more about the nutrition while I chop the chives? I'm going to chop these chives into like 1-inch pieces.
Okay, so some more nutritional value on your cruciferous vegetables is, like Dylan mentioned, like they're fibrous. That one part we take out is chewier, there's more fiber there. So they are a good source of fiber for your body. Of course, fiber helps out with many different functions in your body. The digestive system, that helps get rid of extra cholesterol in your body. You have to have it. Hormone regulation helps out with that.
It looks like so far.
It's looking beautiful. Cruciferous vegetables also are a good source of vitamin C, which is for your immunity, helps fight off infections. folic acid, vitamin K, which helps for blood clotting, iron, and iron absorption will be enhanced when we put our vinaigrette, which is going to have some citric acid solution in that we're going to throw in there too. That's also a great source of calcium and selenium. So yeah.
I'm going to add some seitan. This dish goes great with tempeh, but my friend doesn't like tempeh so much. And we can use tempeh or seitan. We cannot do seitan in too many dishes in So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. So, but we're going to use some seitan. And this is actually homemade seitan that we really made.
Yeah.
You can buy prepared seitan, or sometime we should have a seitan show. So seitan is basically wheat gluten, and we put some tofu in it as well.
I did,
Yeah.
yep.
I'm going to add the seitan.
Lots of herbs and spices in there as well. It's a lot of fun to make homemade seitan.
Wow, your seitan looks really good, and look at the. I like your induction burner because the handles aren't hot, and I can do this. I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, Nora's here. Nora, can we see the pan in the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Looking festive. When we were putting this recipe together, I was thinking of our good friend Susanna.
Mm-hmm.
So Susanna did a somewhat similar dish around from one of the Thanksgiving shows.
Yep.
Hers was different because she used, it's funny, when we were coming up with this dish, I was talking about maybe including some pomegranate. And it's probably because of Susanna, because Susanna's dish did have pomegranate.
So pomegranate's really beautiful. Yeah. It's a gorgeous, like, a jewel kind of fruit. It's just gorgeous. Just adds a pop of color and a burst of flavor to your dishes. So
the downside of our making this dish now is, since it's actually July, but we're showing it in September, is that when it comes around to Thanksgiving, then we'll have to come up with another dish, not a Brussels asparagus. Tim? All right, so the dish is cooking nicely. I'm about to add another herb. So herbs are great. They have lots of health benefits. Maybe Cody can talk a little bit about some of the health benefits of herbs. But I wanted to show you something is the pan has got a little bit of sticking, and that's my fault for not being more mindful of this pan, but I've turned the heat down. So be mindful. Herbs are really good, but you don't want to overdo herbs because they can overpower each other. So I'm going to add rosemary. I don't know how you feel about it, but when you have strong ingredients like seitan, I find really strong herbs go well. Sage is a great choice here. If you have sage, we'll use that. But rosemary is a strong herb. It goes great.
I love rosemary.
Yeah. I generally don't like rosemary and oregano together, although I can think of some collard examples where I've done it. But generally, to me, they're kind of cross with each other. So I've already washed this, and what I'm going to do is let's use about a dozen to 20 leaves. And I can be lazy and just use my fingers, or I can be more industrious and chop them in half. But you tell me, what is it? Or should I chop them in half?
No, just so for
It's
it.
more flavorful if you chop it in half, but
Go for it.
so I'm going to do this with my fingers. Did you want to talk a little bit about some of the health benefits of herbs in general?
Oh yeah, they're full of a lot of different vitamins, antioxidants. Gosh, I know peppermint and basil. I mean, all of them are just packed full of antioxidants. So it's a great addition to any meals, or also drinks. I know the girls, want to do some fun drinks and for their cooking demos. And I believe that they're going to maybe use some herbs with some of theirs, aren't they? Anything about that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's really good.
it does. So a little bit of rosemary. And I apologize to you, Cody, for getting some sticking. It just because neither of us was so comfortable with this pan. Let's talk about that a bit. So we were discussing this yesterday, is both Cody and I would prefer to make this in cast iron. Or we used to prefer. So there is some evidence that we found that cast iron may lead to some brain degeneration. And so in PCRM, we've been talking about maybe minimizing your use of cast iron. I love cast iron. It's great. You don't have to wash it. So before I knew about that, I would have definitely, and I know you would have too, said put this in cast iron. Do you want to try anything with cast iron, Cody? Because you love it too.
Yeah, I mean, I like to use mine once in a while because it really gets the edges nice little singed. But yeah, so I only use it maybe if once a week, once every other week. It just kind of depends, so not very often at all. So.
Nice one.
Mm-hmm.
So look at the Brussels sprout is getting caramelized. And with no oil, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And our dish is just about done. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a bit. Oh, you need to make the vinaigrette, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay. You ready for that?
I'm going to turn the heat off, actually.
Okay. So, now I can't remember the name of this device. Do you remember the name of it? Is it just a garlic roller?
So Carolyn, in a recent show, recently from July, talked about this. So we got this to try it out.
Mm-hmm. So, you gotta be really careful because there's some little blades in there. So, I'm just gonna gently set it in there, and then I'm gonna put my 1 clove of garlic as well. Check so you need to cut these filigree.
And while she's doing that, I forgot, I went to add, we have some dried cranberries. This is fine. You can also use fresh cranberries or frozen. I actually prefer the fresh or frozen because this is often slightly sweeter, but this is fine. I'm going to add cranberries at this point. The heat is off, and we've added some cranberries. We're going to figure all the quantities out and publish that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I got the clove of garlic in here, and then you just have to look to see which direction the blades are going. I think with water. Put it on those.
I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Well, it's a little tricky for the first time, so you get used to it. I've only done this like once before. Ava's kind of my expert on this little guy.
So Carolyn loves it, and we got it based on her recommendations. So.
Okay, so you gotta kind of watch for it, and then you gotta just kind of roll it.
Cut.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if I got it the right direction. So it kind of reminds me of like a little race car. The wheels.
Oops. Carolyn really says she likes it. I guess it takes some getting used to. Yeah. Carolyn's probably watching this as she's preparing for her segment this September. So you don't need this device. You can do anything to chop the garlic. And we're going to put the garlic in the vinaigrette. And I turned the heat off, but the pan's still hot. So the vinaigrette, when it hits the pan, will also steam. The pan is still hot. So you can add this before turning the heat off if you want. I turned the heat off because we were getting a little bit of sticking. Mm-hmm. And as Cody said, not just from a nutritional point of view, but the lemon is also good from a physical point of view of helping deglaze the pan. So an acid, many liquids, but acids in particular, will help when you put the acid, lemon juice, vinegar, and you use your spatula. It'll help pick up what's left on the pan. Makes cleaning easier and makes...
as I can get.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wanted to try this out to see if I want to get one, and Carolyn, I don't think I get one. It looks too complicated.
Well, maybe she can teach us a few more tricks about it. Okay, so I'm going to put some lemon juice in here as well, about a quarter lemon. I'm just going to use my hand to squeeze it since it's a little piece.
Did we forget salt and pepper, maybe?
Mm-hmm. That's all right. We can just talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, so the salt and pepper would go great with the vinaigrette, too.
Yep, and then I'm going to just put in our brown rice vinegar.
When we try it, we'll pretend there's salt and pepper in it.
Okay. And then I got a little bit of coarsely ground Dijon mustard. It's a fine addition to any kind of cruciferous dish.
And if you have a regular mustard, that's also fine, but the coarse ground is even better.
Mm-hmm. As you can see it. That's smelling good.
Now notice we didn't put the garlic with the cooking, so this is going to cook a little bit and then it hits the heat, but it's going to be a much more pungent garlic.
Mm-hmm.
And if the heat were on, you'd hear a sizzle. So all we're going to do now is just mix it, and you can see if we had a metal spatula, this would actually be cleaning up the pan. The good and sad news is, shortly after this, we're going to eat this, and then one of us leaving for Kansas City, and one will be left with cleaning the pan. Sorry.
I'm going to be late for Kansas City and have you clean my pan. I should have used my water.
And if you do go with Cody's scent of water, then you may want to put a cover on it to help steam the Brussels sprouts. But
yeah, I like mine a little softer usually.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun cooking together because we learn different ways of doing things.
Yeah, and I got with the kids like Nora, she has a palate expander, and so I have to kind of make her foods pretty soft for her.
So there is a little bit of sticking, but if do we have a metal spatula here? If not, it's not a big deal.
Me too.
Okay, let's use that.
Right there.
Okay, here we go. It's so wonderful to cook in your kitchen. It's
I
beautiful.
know.
Last time I visited, we were upstairs. Now we're in this beautiful kitchen. A little bit better, a little easier to clean.
Good.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's missing salt and pepper. That's okay. We'll add that to the recipe. So let's give it a try. What we've done is we've added some broccoli sprouts, which are very healthy. Sprouts in general are really healthy, and broccoli sprouts in particular. If you know anybody who's dealing with cancer, they have strong anti-cancer properties. Did you want to talk about why sprouts are particularly healthful?
I think they just have a really highly concentrated dose of the antioxidants. It's just amazing. You got like the whole plant in one little sprout. So they're just a great, very impactful ingredient to add to your dishes. So have you ever tried growing your own sprouts, Dylan?
I've made them. Yeah, I have them. Yeah,
I'd like to get into that a little bit. I think that'd be fun. All right.
Pretty exciting news. This is a light lunch, and then my daughter and I are headed to Kansas City, and we're eating at, all of a sudden Kansas City has all these great vegan restaurants. We're eating at Cafe Gratitude, which I think is the same Cafe Gratitude they have in San Francisco. So we have reservations this evening, and it's supposed to be excellent. So I'm looking forward to that. We're meeting other friends. So we're going to put this in bowls, but before we eat it, we're going to put a little bit of the sprouts. The sprouts add a beautiful garnish, and they add some nice subtle flavor. And broccolis are cruciferous vegetables, so that works out well. So what are we going to call this dish? Brussels sprouts with seitan?
Yeah. I think so.
So let's give it a try, see what we think. Let's pretend there's a little bit of salt and pepper in here, okay?
That's right.
This will be my lunch. Very nice. It does need a bit of salt.
It's bursting with lots of great flavor, though. I love the vinaigrette in there. That's a great combination. Cheers, Stella.
Cheers.
Awesome. We make a good team, don't we?
We do. And I agree with Cody's comment. The Brussels sprouts are pretty chewy. If we had used a cast iron, it would be really crispy. And if we added your water, it'd be a little softer. So make it your own. There's a lot of good varieties, ways to make this. But cooking with Brussels sprouts, tasty and healthy and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my favorite dishes is to cook with Brussels. So.
Nice.
And to cook with friends. So
Cook with
thanks
friends.
for joining me, Dilla. It was wonderful to have you guys in Omaha.
It's always great to be here. So next, we have no idea who's going next. Again, it's July here. It's almost 4th of July. It's July 2nd. So happy September. And we'll move on to the second cook, whoever that is.
That's right.
But we'll be back for Q&A. We'll age a couple months before then. We'll be back. So we'll try to remember to wear the same clothes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or not, it doesn't matter. Bye from Omaha.
All right, bye.
Hi everybody. Welcome to my kitchen in Abu Dhabi. Today our theme is cruciferous vegetables, and we had a wonderful start with the pre-recorded show of Dilip and Cody. How lucky they were together, and they had a chance to work together and share with us this wonderful recipe. So I have some bread toasting in the back. I like using my little pan for it, slightly toasting it, but I need to keep an eye on it or smell it. So today my recipe is called Beans and Greens Toast. It is something of an alternative to avocado toast because not each time you can have a ripe avocado to smush and make your beautiful toast. However, if you have a can of beans, which I use today, or if you pre-soaked your chickpeas or cooked some black-eyed peas or any kind of legumes really, that's why I called it Beans and Greens, which is one of our mottos. And you can do this. I try to always have a couple cans of chickpeas or beans or whatever. And today I chose the mixed bean version, which has 9 different beans. I'm so lucky. We also encourage eating a variety of vegetables, different plants every week. So we even recommend like 30 different things for your gut health. The more the variety, the healthier your gut is. So today I use this one. but it could also be wonderful with red kidney beans. Of course, the more color you have, the more phytochemicals, the more benefits. And I'm lucky here I can find a dark colored chickpeas, thus more color and more phytochemicals as well. So what we do is smush the beans of our choice, and heck, you can even use hummus. If you have no time and you have access to a good quality hummus, you can get yourself hummus, spread it on the toast, and then top it with the greens of your choice. So I will warm my pan so I can start it. Today I chose kale. I've already massaged and chopped it, so we know the chop and stop rule, which helps the cruciferous greens, even broccoli or cauliflower. If you chop them ahead of time, like 40 minutes before cooking, they will release their enzymes necessary for having the cancer-fighting properties not die during the cooking process. So these have been chopped and stopped. As well, my spinach, I decided to do a mix of both. And today I'm cooking for one, therefore I have just a cup of kale and a cup of spinach. Once cooked, of course, they're going to be even smaller. I'll start with the kale, which cooks a little longer. And I have water here. I can just add a smidgen of it. It's sizzling now. I have turned off my toast. It's not going to burn. And I don't really want to cook them a lot. Since it was massaged, it's going to be easy to eat, and I really chopped it fine. So these are softening nicely. I will also add the spinach, which needs so much less to cook. I have here a clove of garlic. I'm going to also add that in here. And by the time the garlic aroma comes, this will be ready to go. Oh, and today I decided to use just a tiny bit of soy sauce. Instead, you can also use a vegetable broth, but this is even easier. Just I will put a tiny bit just so I can keep an eye on it. It's less than a tablespoon. Just a few drops here to give it life. And the garlic is beginning to smell. Okay, my greens are ready, and I'll leave them here. And I smush my beans. So if you have a ready-made hummus, of course you can quickly go to that. But basically you pre-cook your chickpeas or any kind of beans that you want to use, and with any kind of masher. You can even use a mini food processor. I'm just, this is so little, I'm doing it by hand. So already we use a lot of electricity in this part of the world. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water to give it a little bit more softness. Oh, you can make it creamier, chunkier, as you wish. I have a little lemon zest. And don't forget, the recipe is in the booklet. My recipe is enough for about 4 to 6 people. But at the moment, like I said, I'm doing it for one. I like using turmeric and everything, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of turmeric. And to enhance the work of turmeric, I'm adding a tiny bit of pepper. and a tiny pinch of salt. I'm not going to put too much because I have a secret weapon afterwards which gives a lot of flavor, which is za'atar. I'm lucky I can buy very good quality za'atar here in Abu Dhabi. And if you look online, you can find a recipe that you can quickly whip up at home too. It's pretty much a family recipe. Each family in the Middle East has their own recipe, or of course they can always go to the local store and buy the recipe of their choice. But the one I really like here comes from a small shop where they have, this is a Palestinian mix, and I just like, it's so aromatic. I love it. The dried za'atar, and it's got sumac and loads of sesame seeds. So it's just lovely. And every now and then, the sesame seeds made me remember, every now and then when I do this recipe, I also use gomasio, which is basically like a Japanese version of the za'atar. It's made with seaweed and sesame seeds and some salt and crushed. So I take one of my slices and I'm gonna rub some garlic on it, just like we would do with bruschetta, just to give extra flavor. Be creative, do as you wish if you don't like. And I use the lovely, delicious whole wheat sourdough bread. So I can on this now pop my bean mix. And I have another one here, enough for making 2 slices. And to my greens, I will also add a squeeze of lemon juice. Better to do it a little after, because lemon juice or any acid turns them brownish or yellowish. I like adding lemon juice because it gives some flavor. Also, the vitamin C is good for vitamin E absorption. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to put my greens. I leave a second helping. You can of course put as much or as little as you wish. Chopping the kale fine helps making it a sandwich where you can bite. Otherwise, you know how kale can get numb. So I'm going to sprinkle some za'atar on it. There we go. And I have also toasted some pine nuts, which make it look pretty and also give a lovely flavor. And we're in the Middle East. Pomegranate arrows are just always lovely to use. And so it looks very festive. You could even do this for Christmas, I suppose, if you could find these goodies. And there it is. It was done. Of course, this is very high in, it's a good source of calcium and potassium and a lot of minerals that you need on a daily basis. And what a fun and delicious way to get it. My mouth is watering. I have to take a bite. Divine. It is so good. Move over avocado toast. Now we have beans and greens toast. And this is it for my show today. I hope you will try it at home with any beans and any greens that you like. Get creative with your spices and herbs and decorations. And I hope you will enjoy it yourself. Now I pass it on to Susanna Dickman in Evansville, Indiana. She will be sharing with us a wonderful cauliflower steak recipe. Take it away, Susanna. Bye from Abu Dhabi.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Susanna Dickman. I'm from Evansville, Indiana, and you can check out my Facebook and webpage, Eat Plants Be Well, and also join my husband and I as we cook meat for Meatless Monday on Facebook every other Monday. I'm so excited to be making a cruciferous dish. Cauliflower has never really been my favorite vegetable. My husband and I were talking and kind of laughing because it seemed like cauliflower was always just that thing that you had to get to that good dip, right? You know, I never really cooked with it before I became plant-based, but today I'm going to be making a cauliflower steak. And what I love about this cruciferous vegetable that we know has so many nutrients is that it's so versatile. You know, it has sometimes a pungent flavor, but the flavor is really kind of neutral. And you can take it and make it into anything you want. And you can see my plate. I'll talk about the additions I made to my cauliflower steak. And here are a few that I made in advance. But this is definitely a holiday-worthy kind of meal, or a barbecue. You know, we just had Labor Day, so we're getting done with the barbecue season. But we still like to sometimes barbecue even when it's colder out because, you know, it's just fun to do. And this is a great meal. So I cut my cauliflower in half already, but what you need to do is first make sure you get a really good firm head, and you want to cut the bottom off so that it lies kind of flat. And you can see it's still a little bit wobbly, and you want to be careful when you're cutting. So I just put a towel underneath. I'm only going to cut one half for you today. But I kind of put a towel underneath to kind of help brace it so that it is less wobbly. And I've kept my core in because that's going to be, the main thing holding all those florets together. And you can eat this. It's so good. I mean, when I cut a cauliflower to make florets, I chop this up little, just like I do with the broccoli stalk. So also one other thing I'd like to mention, I've got this little bowl here for all these little pieces that start to fall out because I don't want to waste them, right? I'll take those and I'll put them in, I'll put some spices, the same spices I'm going to use now or different spices, and just put them in my oven and roast them. And my sons and my husband and I eat them as a snack. It's so good. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this into about 3/4 to an inch. I'm going to try to keep it together. So I've got that part. Whoops, it went all the way through, and look at that. This is perfect. You can see the ones I did earlier didn't come out as perfect, but you want to be careful because I'm already starting to lose this piece. But I'm going to put that there. Doesn't it look like a great size of a steak? Let me get another one. I think I'm going to get 3 or, whoops. See, now this one wasn't as, a little piece broke off, but that's okay because this will be a little steak. And then again, these little pieces I'm going to go ahead and put in my pan. So I'm going to go ahead and make one more slice. All right, and there we go. That's how I ended up with all my little pieces. But I don't mind. Let me move those cooked ones over just a little bit. Okay, I've got 2 fairly good pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this in here. So out of 1 cauliflower, you can maybe get 4 or 5 good size steaks. I keep saying steaks. I don't know what other word to use that would be more plant-based, but there we go. So I'm going to go ahead now and show you my dry rub, and then we're going to rub it on our steaks. This is definitely a recipe that you need to plan ahead for, because we're going to put the dry rub on one side, and then we're going to let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. You know, the moisture in the cauliflower will soak up the spice, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to dry rub the other side and then wait for another 20 to 30 minutes before we bake. But let me talk about our dry rub, and I went ahead and mixed it all. Earlier when I made this morning, I made the ones that I wanted to show you already cooked. So here we have nutritional yeast, and the amounts will be in the recipe, of course. Ground fennel seeds, freshly ground. So this, and I forgot to say, this is my husband's dry rub. He developed this. When I said I wanted to do cauliflower steaks, he goes, oh, I know the best seasonings. And fennel is other than cumin and red pepper, fennel is the second favorite of his. So he freshly ground the fennel. We had fennel seed, and he freshly ground it. We have some Italian seasoning blend, which has marjoram, basil, oregano, thyme, some garlic powder, onion powder. Now, if you use salt, which, you know, if you don't, you can totally leave it out. We bought this truffle salt, which is just, you know, even just like 1/8 of a teaspoon just adds a new depth of flavor to this. So you can add the salt, truffle salt, regular salt, sea salt, but you can leave it out if you want to. We have paprika in here, some crushed red pepper, and the last thing is portocini mushroom powder. And again, excuse me, you can buy dried portocinis and just crunch them yourself and add that in. Because he put all of these ingredients in a mortar and pestle, and he ground them. Or you can buy some mushroom powder. I bought this, Dr. Greger recommended, because we know the health benefits of mushrooms. So I ordered this, and I find sprinkling it in a lot of marinades or other things just brings, again, that umami, the truffle and the mushroom. But like I said, you can totally leave it out. And if you don't want a Mexican flair for your cauliflower steak, or you don't want an Italian flair for your cauliflower steak, maybe you want Mexican. So use some cumin and Mexican oregano and chili powder. Or maybe you want, my husband and I were just talking about another thing, and I can't remember right now, but it'll come back to me. So let me go ahead and show you just how easy it's going to be to rub this in. Okay, so we want to get it in all the cracks and crevices. You know, we want to take our time and make sure I'm spilling a little bit there, but that's okay. We want to rub it in just like you would, you know, if you were making a steak and making a rub. And again, like I said, after a little bit, the moisture will go ahead and absorb some of that. Now I'm going to do this big piece here. Let me go ahead and get that in. We want it to get into those little nooks and crannies of our cauliflower. Okay. And the better we rub it, the better it will stay. So it's more like I'm kind of rubbing, but I'm also kind of just pressing down on it. Let me do a few more because I don't think you need to wash and cover all of these. I'm not going to use any liquid. I will, when we're baking these, if I feel like it needs a little moisture, I will get a no oil vinaigrette. I currently have like a Bragg's vinaigrette that I might use and brush a little bit on while it's baking. But I'm just going to go and do those. And you can see, we're going to let these sit for 20 to 30 minutes. After 20 minutes, you can check them and you'll see, you'll start to lift it and you'll see that the seasoning, you'll lose a tiny bit, but you're not going to lose a lot. So it's going to soak into the cauliflower. And then we're going to turn it over and put it in the other side. And then wait another 20 to 30 minutes. And then we're ready to bake. We baked, my husband actually did these on the grill this morning, which was kind of nice. So you can see that nice chard on there. But baking in the oven is preferred, or you can do it on the grill if you'd like. And you want to bake it at 400 degrees for anywhere between 40 to 45 minutes, maybe more, again, depending on your oven. You want it to be fork tender. So I want to be able to take my fork and press and have it go through nicely. You don't want it to cook so much that it gets mushy, because you do want that texture. But again, just a super, looks complicated, but really easy. Most of the time is hands off. Like I've made the rub, I've done this, so now I'm gonna go do something else for 20 minutes, come back, turn it over, rub it again, go do something else. So even though until you eat takes a while, the process doesn't. I wanted to show you because, again, it was kind of funny when we were talking about, my husband and I, about, making these this morning. Immediately I said, ooh, I want to saute some mushrooms to add to eat with it. And my husband said, well, we need pasta. We need some kind of carb. So we need pasta. And I was like, yeah, but then we also need tomatoes. We have a ton of tomatoes from our garden and still some zucchini. So I want to show you how we plated this. And so here is our cauliflower steak. This was my biggest piece. It was almost as big as this one. And we bought some shiitake mushrooms. They had some really nice shiitake mushrooms. You can use any kind of mushroom, creamy or a portobello, but I just like to saute my mushrooms in a little bit of tamari and a little bit of liquid smoke, just, little bit, no water, and of course I had chopped garlic, fresh garlic. So we put a little of the mushrooms on there. I have a little cashew cream. We wanted some kind of carb. I had quinoa in the fridge, so we could have added this cauliflower and a bed of quinoa, but we chose to use pasta, and then I just roasted. We've been getting a lot of tomatoes from our neighbor and buying some. Sadly, the season's going to be ending soon, but I just roasted. I sprinkled, instead of oil, I use aquafaba, the liquid from a can of chickpeas, and I just put it in a baking dish. I put a little oregano and basil and garlic, of course, and a tiny bit of pepper and salt. And then I sauteed some zucchini with just salt and pepper. So, I wanted to use up my summer vegetables with this. But, as I said, you can change the spices on your cauliflower to Mexican. Oh, Indian we were talking about. You can use curry and make a curry paste or make a curry dry rub and make your cauliflower that way. So, the possibilities are endless, and you take a beautiful cruciferous vegetable with so many wonderful antioxidants and things, and you have a different dish every time. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I can't wait to dig into this plate. I'm sure my husband's going to be here as soon as I get off camera and with his fork ready to have some too. Next up is Carolyn. Carolyn, I can't wait to see her broccoli salad. That's another one of my favorite things to eat. But thanks, everyone. We appreciate you watching us every month. Have a great month and take care. Be safe.
Thanks, Susanna. Your cauliflower steaks look great. I love cauliflower. So just about any way I can get it. So like Susanna said, I'm Carolyn. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama, and I am making broccoli salad, which is one of my favorite things to bring to potlucks and to any Labor Day, 4th of July, whatever. It's a great side dish. Super, super filling. Actually, I usually just eat it as a main dish because it's really good. And as everybody has talked about before, so cruciferous vegetables are super, super good for you. Broccoli in particular is just so, so good for you because of a compound called sulforaphane. So, and as everybody's mentioned, cutting it ahead of time is a really good idea, and let it sit before you cook it. The reason for that is broccoli contains an enzyme called myrosinase, and it also contains another enzyme called a glucosinolate. So when you cut broccoli ahead of time, they come in contact with each other, the myrosinase and the glucosinolates, and they're converted into sulforaphane. And that actually happens in our mouths too. So like when you're chewing it or you're cutting it, anytime, you break it open, it's going to create sulforaphane. But it's really good to let it sit at least 15 minutes, but even 40, 90 minutes, ahead of time, just cut it, let it sit. Same thing with garlic. So when you use garlic, letting it just sit for a while after you've minced it up is a good idea because it can create more sulforaphane. So I've already cut my broccoli, let it sit for a while. And then in broccoli salad, something I have figured out is little kids don't really like completely raw broccoli. Neither do I really, just totally raw. So I find it more palatable even to people who don't really like broccoli if you put it in boiling water for just like 30, 45 seconds and parboil or blanch it, I guess, as they say, and put it in really hot water and then take it out and put it in cold water immediately. Drain it and put it in ice cold water. So I've already done that. And I drained it. It's still bright green and crispy, but it's taken some of that raw edge away from it. And I've just been letting it sit and drain. So there's a lot of water that came out of it. So this was about this much broccoli. So what I said in the recipe document is that it's 2 medium to large stalks. This is actually 3 medium to small stalks, but it's about that much broccoli. So, and it came out cut up about this much after I've cooked it. So it's still, as you can see, bright green, and it's still very crispy. It's still going to have a crunch to it. It's just not going to have that raw flavor to it. I do a lot of cooking classes with children, and I have figured out that kids really like, after I've cooked it just a little bit like that, they like it a lot better than raw. So that's already cooked, and I'm just going to pour it into my big bowl. And we'll just let that sit for a second while we make some of the other ingredients. So this recipe will also have in it carrots, onions, cranberries, raisins, and sunflower seeds. And also an optional ingredient, but I think it's really, really good, is tempeh bacon. So I want to show you how I do tempeh bacon. Tempeh, this is the kind I'm using today because it's the only kind I can find in Montgomery, Alabama. So it's this is Light Life. I know there's a lot of other brands out there, so whatever kind you can find should actually work, just as well. This kind is just plain tempeh. So I know I've seen flavored ones out there. I've actually already seen at grocery stores, which we don't have in Montgomery, but tempeh bacon already marinated in a package, but I don't have that here, so I'm making my own. If you have it where you live, then you could use that. So you're going to take it and cut it up. One thing I forgot to say in the recipe document, since I was just looking at the recipe document, I realized I forgot to say you want to slice up the tempeh into little strips like this. And so this is sort of like little bacon strips, I guess, little tempeh strips. And so I've already steamed it. So you're going to take it, put it in a pan with, about an inch of water in it, and put it in a steamer basket and just steam it for 8 to 10 minutes or so, and just make sure that it's kind of opened up. It actually makes the tempeh more accepting to the marinade, so it is able to absorb more of the marinade. So I've already done that and let it sit aside. And then the marinade I'm making is Bragg's liquid aminos, and it's about 4 tablespoons of Bragg's liquid aminos. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then a teaspoon of garlic powder, which I'm just going to eyeball because I know about what that looks like. Okay, teaspoon of garlic powder, and a tablespoon of either, so on the recipe document it says liquid smoke. You could use a tablespoon of liquid smoke. You could actually also use just a ½ tablespoon of smoked paprika instead, because it's going to give it that same smoky flavor. And that's really what you're going for, is that smoky flavor. So about a tablespoon of liquid smoke. There we go. And then a teaspoon of maple syrup. And I'm just using this kind that I found at Publix. Just 1 teaspoon of that. Oh, and then a very important, let me pour that in, that's a teaspoon. And then a very important ingredient, which is a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. So I'm going to have to get my ½ tablespoon measure out since the tablespoon is wet. Okay, so there, a whole tablespoon of nutritional yeast. And then we'll let that, there we go. Let that mix together. You get a fork and just kind of stir it up. You could actually add some water to this if you want to thin it out a little bit. If you think this tastes too strong, then you could try, adding a tablespoon or 2 of water to it to, make it not quite so strongly flavored. Okay, and then I'm taking the tempeh that I already cut. Let's see if I can just slide some things out of the way, and then show you on the down shot. Just putting it in this pan and setting it right there into the marinade. There. And we'll get them all in there and then flip them over so they soak up the marinade really well. And it actually smells really bacony. It's very interesting how much it just smells like bacon. Okay, and then we'll flip them all over, get them good and coated. And then you want to let this sit and marinate for, at least 30, 40 minutes, up to, a few hours ahead of time, or even put it in the refrigerator and just let it soak overnight. That's fine too. So it's really not going to hurt it to let it sit for quite a while and just soak up all that good flavor in it. So set it aside either in the refrigerator or, wherever you want. Probably want to do this ahead of time before you make broccoli salad. Rinse my hands off. Okay. So I have luckily already cooked some tempeh in my air fryer. So if you want to show on a down shot, you can see how crispy, how much darker it's gotten since I air fried it. So the one that I just started marinating is pretty lightly colored, but after air frying it, it's not okay. So it's not going to taste exactly like bacon, pork bacon, but it does have a really nice flavor. And what we're going to do is use about half of it in this recipe. And you could use the other half to make sandwiches. So add some tempeh bacon and some avocado and lettuce and tomato and make a really good BLAT, I guess. Okay, so we're going to go to the main part of the broccoli salad. And we're going to make the sauce that goes over the top. So the dressing that we're pouring over the top is 1/4 cup of mayo. And I put in the recipe document a mayonnaise made out of tofu. If you would like to use that, you could always use store-bought vegan mayonnaise. And the difference between regular mayonnaise and vegan mayonnaise is there's no eggs in vegan mayonnaise. So regular mayonnaise does contain egg. So we're taking that and 3 tablespoons. It's 1/4 cup of mayo and 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder and some fresh cracked black pepper. And just, ooh, yeah. Okay. And then I got to stir that up really fast. Get another fork out. Okay. So we'll let that mix up. There we go. Okay. It's not super thick, but it's going to make it where it coats all of the ingredients pretty well. It's a little bit liquidy. And then we're adding a half a cup of shredded carrots, a half of a sweet onion. So I'm in the South and we have Vidalia onions here. And that's probably the most common thing that I see at the farmers markets. So I just saw some this morning at the farmers market. So this is half of a sweet onion, a third of a cup of dried cranberries, and a third of a cup of raisins. You could also use golden raisins. I'm using dark raisins, and a fourth of a cup of sunflower seeds. So you can show on the down shot how pretty this is. It's got lots and lots of colors in it. And then mix the sauce up again. Okay, and then I'm going to pour the sauce over the top. This is really a very easy recipe. Okay, and then we'll just kind of fold the sauce into it. And then I'm going to add about a half of that tempeh bacon crumbled. So in the South, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of salads here contain bacon. So I'm just adding tempeh bacon. This is so bright and colorful. Look how pretty that is. Okay, and then we'll add about half of that tempeh bacon. Just crumble up all these nice little pieces into the salad. Now, there is something else that I really, really like that contains a lot of sulforaphane, and that is broccoli microgreens. So microgreens, it turns out, it's the stage of the broccoli as the plant is starting to grow. They're tiny little greens. I think they're a little bit different than sprouts. Maybe Karen can tell us the difference between microgreens and sprouts. But microgreens are fantastic. And I've got some. Obviously, I've been eating it because it's like half empty, but broccoli, micro broccoli it's called, and then probably different products like this in other areas of the country. But I put a handful of this on top of my salad before I serve it. You're going to release the sulforaphane from the broccoli microgreens just by chewing it up. And then they actually contain quite a bit of sulforaphane. So super good just throw it on top of a salad or on a sandwich. I put it on almost everything because I really like the broccoli microgreens. So if you want to get a down shot and show how pretty this is just a beautiful salad. It's very colorful. And we'll get the tempeh bacon mixed in. Look how pretty. That is a beautiful salad and very tasty. So you want to probably let it sit and let the flavors marry, as they say, for 20, 30 minutes. You can put it in the refrigerator if you want to, or just serve it at room temperature. And it is delicious. This is a delicious salad. Okay, so I'm going to add a couple more pieces of the tempeh bacon. There we go. All right. And like I said, keep the rest of it for making sandwiches. It's really good. All right. And that's basically it. So you could make your own mayonnaise. You could use store-bought vegan mayonnaise, up to you. But this is just a delicious side dish to have at any potluck or summer gathering. We just finished Labor Day, but I actually made this over Labor Day. It's really, really good. So if you have any questions at all, please post them during the Q&A and you'll be entered into the drawing today. I'm about to send it over to Dillip for Q&A, and I think Karen Osborne is joining us too. So that'll be fun. We haven't seen Karen in a little while. So take it away, Dillip. And yes, please do ask questions.
Carolyn, that looked great. I was missing when I got to visit you in late December.
Are you talking, Dillip? I can't hear you.
Yes. Can you not hear me? Looks like Carolyn can't hear me. Let me bring
Oh,
everybody
now I
up.
can hear you. Okay.
Okay. I
There
was
we
just
go.
saying that I loved watching you cook, and you got a great comment. You have a wonderful camera person, so I was bragging about your lovely husband.
Yes, that would be Brian standing right over here hitting the down shot thing for me.
Excuse me. Well, let me bring on Cody in Nebraska, as well as
Hey, Cody.
Karen. We missed you,
Hello.
Karen. So I'm going to turn it over just to Karen for a few minutes for her to do a general discussion of cruciferous vegetable nutrition. We'll be here too, and then we'll all rejoin for Q&A. So Q&A starts now, and I know there was a question that came up, so let's see if it gets asked again. Um, but uh, but Karen, welcome back to the show, and why don't you take it away and share some of your lovely wisdom about cruciferous vegetable nutrition? And you're muted. You are muted, unfortunately. There we go.
Okay. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me. And I bet some people were just wondering what the heck happened to me. Um, it's been just like a series of unfortunate events that started in. Oh, I see that question. Okay. Like the first weekend in March, I was hiking on a trail and some rocks and twigs slipped under my foot, and my leg went one way, my thigh, well, the bottom of the leg went one way. I tried to right myself, and the meniscus tore and flipped over, and so it got misdiagnosed in the hospital, and then they sent me to a surgeon who thought it was something else, and then I got a CT scan, and they told me it was something. It was a fractured femur. Just leave it immobilized for a month and come back. And then, but my femur didn't hurt. It was my knee. And so I got on the portal and I looked at the report, and it was the handle tear of the meniscus, which wasn't going to correct itself. So then it took me like 7 weeks from the accident to have surgery, just about 7 weeks. And I'd lost all my muscle and everything. And so the surgeon did something. I got nerve damage, and it's just been one thing after another. About a month after I had the surgery, I was feeling better, and my crutches slipped on wet tile, and then I fell on my back and hit my head. But nothing broke. And I think because I eat cruciferous vegetables every day, lots of them. And I mean, that's been the easiest thing. Just throw cruciferous vegetables in the Instant Pot with beans and some other greens. It's just like, because it takes me so long to like move things down the counters, across to the sink and back and whatever. So yeah, it's not a recipe or anything, but if you throw cauliflower and green lentils in the Instant Pot with some dill, it's so good. Mushrooms are good to put in it, onions, but that's basically what I lived on: broccoli and red lentils. And so just talking about cruciferous vegetables, a lot of good stuff was mentioned already, and there's a lot more information in Brenda's document on the website. But well, thank you, Judith. I'm getting good physical therapy now and a lot of other alternative therapies. Hopefully I'll be walking soon. But yeah, I just want to highlight a few of the things. Like Carolyn mentioned, there's with the cruciferous vegetables, there's a precursor and there's an enzyme. And when they get combined, like through chewing it or chopping it, like Dr. Gregor's hack and hold, it makes the sulforaphane, which you're only going to get that in cruciferous vegetables, like using cruciferous vegetables. The precursor is not damaged by heat, and the sulforaphane is not damaged by heat, but the enzyme is. So, like she said, hack and hold, like chop it in advance, and then there's another way. If you don't have time to do that, you can put a little bit of raw cruciferous vegetables in with your cooked, and then you'll get the enzyme from the raw vegetables to react with the precursor in the cooked vegetables and create that sulforaphane. And why is sulforaphane so good for you? It's like the main master antioxidant. It's anti-inflammatory. Works. It can help prevent cancer. Like there are some studies where it shows that ground mustard seed is a cruciferous. Mustard's cruciferous. So yeah, if you have ground mustard seed and just sprinkle it on your vegetables, your cooked vegetables, you get that enzyme action. But that antioxidant just really helps prevent actually damage to the DNA. So I had a bunch of things I wanted to talk about here, but so it helps the liver, the sulforaphane. It helps your body break down toxins. It binds to fat soluble toxins and then helps turn them into water soluble molecules that you can just eliminate. Your body can eliminate, and then by having a healthy liver, your liver eliminates toxins more easily, so it can be cancer preventive. It's anti-estrogenic. If you have too much estrogen, that interferes with your thyroid function, and it can be cancer causing. And a lot of people are afraid of cruciferous vegetables, especially if they have like hypothyroid. But the only reason, so it has a compound that can compete with iodine in your thyroid receptors. And it only does that if you're iodine deficient. So if you just sprinkle a little bit, it's like maybe 1/64 of a teaspoon of kelp powder a day or on your food, you're not going to be deficient in iodine. So if you're not deficient in iodine, it's not going to compete with the iodine in your thyroid receptors. And you need iodine because your thyroid needs iodine to convert the thyroid hormone to its active form. It converts T4 to T3 using iodine. And then some other things about the cruciferous vegetables, I'm sure they were already mentioned, but they're full of vitamin C, which is another antioxidant. It's immune boosting, and vitamin C is really helpful in collagen production, so it's helpful for your skin and all your connective tissue. It has K1, vitamin K1, and your body converts K1 to K2, a little bit of K2. But the K1 is really good for proper blood clotting, and then the K2 you need to get the calcium into it activates a protein that moves the calcium into your bones and your teeth out of your arteries and veins. So it helps prevent cardiovascular disease and puts the calcium where it needs to be. Cruciferous vegetables, good for lowering inflammation, preventing cardiovascular disease, anti-cancer, said boosting your immunity. And it's delicious. They're delicious. You can do so many things with cruciferous vegetables, and there's over 40 cruciferous vegetables. So, yeah. Eat them.
Well, thanks so much, Karen, and thanks. We all are rooting for you to get through this. So I suffer from back pain, and last week I was out. So whole food plant-based diet's fabulous and helps with so many things, but there's a few things like an accident or back pain that it doesn't necessarily help with. So I can't wait till you're feeling well enough so you can cook with us. And I've really missed, you have so much wisdom about food, and I thank you so much for the wonderful presentation about nutrition on cruciferous vegetables.
Thank you.
Now, Karen is the person behind the scenes who fulfills our gifts. So, Karen, can I ask you to take over noting who's asked questions? And the first questioner that you have already answered was Kathy Sabo. So let's put her as the first one. And then I have a whole list of questions that have come in while you were presenting. And yeah, a lot of people, Karen, have sent kind wishes to you,
Oh, thank
including
you, everybody.
yeah, Janet, Carolyn's mom, Mrs. May, and Judith,
Mhm.
and others. Thank you, everybody, for the kind wishes. All right, so let's get all of us in then. I have some questions, but let's start with some of the questions that came in from the audience. So let's take a look at the comments. So one question that came in was, uh, okay, Kathy, that sounds good. Uh, So Janet is asking, I see a lot of cauliflower pizza crusts in the grocery store, but they all contain eggs. So they're not vegan. Does anyone uh, know how to make a pizza crust incorporating cauliflower? And I won't answer that. I'm not an expert in this area. One if you can, but I will say that cauliflower crusts are popular because of their being gluten free. And I've seen cauliflower crusts. I haven't bought them that don't have eggs too. I don't
Right.
generally look for cauliflower crust. Who would like to take that? Cody or Carolyn or Karen?
Sure, I can talk about that. I actually just bought one the other day that didn't have eggs. I don't remember the brand name, but I found it at Fresh Market and it had no eggs. Um, but the recipes I've seen for it, actually, it would be really easy to replace the egg with flaxseed, just flaxseed and water, ground flaxseed and water. Most of the recipes I've seen for it call for 1 egg. So that's just 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of warm water. And you whisk it up and let it sit and then use it like you would an egg. And it actually looks like it would work pretty well, I think, on any recipe that is, calls for an egg since it's baked. So, yeah, I think that could absolutely work. And they're really pretty good. I liked it when I made it last week. So,
Kathy, we're sorry that your cell phone died. Yeah, all our shows are available after the fact. I don't know if they're available like the second after we're done, but usually within a few minutes you can watch them on YouTube or Facebook. All right, good. So here's a new question. So this is from Lee. Karen seems like she's writing all the names down, which is great. So let's write Lee's name down. How does the nutrition in broccoli sprouts compare to the nutrition in broccoli? Let me say one thing, but then I'll defer to Karen or Cody or Carolyn. I haven't done it for a while. I stay really busy, but I'm also a personal chef, and I've had a number of clients where I'll prepare food for their needs. I had a client once who was recovering from cancer, and so broccoli sprouts are particularly good for cancer. Uh, so broccoli sprouts, the additional nutrition they give you is because there's so much growth in it that really helps with stopping disease states like cancer. But I know Karen or any of the three of you can answer that more fully of of how broccoli sprouts compare to broccoli. So when I cooked for him, I always included or often included broccoli sprouts with his meals.
I've always thought it was more concentrated, the amount of the nutrients in the sprouts versus the grown broccoli. That's my understanding of it. So
that's what I've always thought too. But yeah.
Be like 50 to 100 times more sulforaphane being produced in the sprouts.
Right. Each one of these little things is going to be a whole entire broccoli plant. So there's a lot of nutritional information packed in each one of them. So yeah, I add them to everything except desserts. So
Let's bring Linda's question up. So, Linda Pittman, good to see you again on the show. I started growing kale microgreens recently and wanted to know different ways to add them to a meal or snacks. Does anyone have any other suggestions for other microgreens to grow? Microgreens taste great with everything. You know, one thing I love about microgreens is the texture. They have this like micro texture, this little bit of texture, and it tickles your tongue. I love it on top of sandwiches. I wouldn't cook the microgreens. They're so fragile, so delicate. So I would put them on top of a salad or something, and just before serving, I'd put it there. I'd keep it refrigerated until then. It's great with a baked potato, but I would wait just before you ate the potato because the potato is so hot. because the
Right.
greens wilt. Who else wants to share about microgreens?
Put it in a smoothie. I throw a handful into smoothies all the time.
Or banana ice cream. Yeah.
Right. Right. Anything that you're not heating should be fine. So when you heat it, it really, it can hurt the microgreen, and it's not going to have quite as much nutritional value to it. Microgreens, anyway. Broccoli's different, but microgreens, you probably don't really want to cook them too much, but throw them on top of something like a stir fry and just toss them on the top right before you eat it. Great plan. But I just take a handful and stick it in a smoothie too.
Now, Kathy had a couple questions. Let me put them up in quick succession. So Kathy asked, what is seitan made of? Wheat. Although I think you can make seitan from other things, but it's the protein of wheat. And then she's asking, if you were getting a mortar and pestle, what size would you get and what material should it be made of? So I have some thoughts, but let's see if one of you want to share your thoughts on mortar and pestle.
Not plastic.
Right. I have a
Stone is
marble
good.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a marble one with wood, and we just are careful not to, when you wash it, to just wipe it out and not use soap, because soap can go into the porosity of the stone.
Right.
So stone's a good choice. Do any of the three of you guys have any other ideas of other good choices for? Some people use wooden mortars and pestles, and I know in some traditional, I think in Thailand that's common. In India, stone is much more common. What's the disadvantage of wood? It doesn't last as long as stone, and
More
I don't know.
porous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have more problems keeping it clean, keeping bacteria out.
Well,
I
and
wonder.
soaking up the flavors too, so it might impact the flavor of the next thing you put in it.
Right. Kathy also asked, does vegan mayo include oil? So
Store bought does,
if you
but
use cashews.
you could, but the one I put in the recipe document doesn't have any oil. So you could add cashews, like a half a cup of soaked cashews to it, and it would be a little thicker and creamier. So, but no, there's no oil in the one that I put in the recipe document. Store-bought mayo, yes, there's oil in it. But there's some that are lower fat. Like Follow Your Heart actually has a low-fat version of it. So it's much less oil and lower in fat. It's just hard to find.
One thing I wanted to say about mayonnaise is, those of you who are moving from a non-vegan diet to a vegan diet, if that's something you eat, so mayonnaise is just extra fat. I mean, whether you're vegan or not, it's just extra fat. But if you're used to that flavor, one thing, I'm not promoting that you buy this, but one thing that I was happy to see is, what's the most popular brand, at least in the United States, of mayonnaise? It's Hellmann's. And now Hellmann's for some time has a vegan mayonnaise.
Right.
I won't buy it. I'm not interested in buying it, but it's probably still high in fat. But the fact that that brand that's well known now has a vegan version is
Right.
really good. So
I saw one the other day. It was Hellmann's. This was so funny. I was at the grocery store, and there was a section that said vegan mayo, and then right next to it they had one that said plant-based mayo. And it was a different price, and one container was bigger than the other. But when I looked at the ingredients, there was zero difference. So, but the one they called plant-based was more expensive than the one they called vegan.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was a Hellmann's. So it was a mainstream brand. I don't know. I didn't buy it, but I was really surprised to see they had one called vegan and one called plant-based right next to each other. Different prices, exact same ingredients. So
Probably some kind of study they're doing.
yeah, so you just got to read the ingredients. Like, look at what the ingredients list says and what the nutrition label says. But it was the exact same thing, just one labeled plant-based and one labeled vegan. And I think the plant-based one was more expensive. So go figure.
Before we take the next question, I have to say that since I'm kind of doing all the technology, I don't always pay as much attention as I'd like to, and I have to sometimes see the shows again. But every single dish, I mean, I wish Susanna could join us. She wasn't able to join us. I think she has guests, so she had to run after the show. But like, her recipe, I never thought of doing something like that. And each one of you, I mean, just what you did was so good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be trying all the recipes. Judith, so Karen, please add Judith to your list. Judith Henry, it's good to see you again, Judith. Do you need to cook your cruciferous vegetables to get all food good nutrition from them? I won't answer that, but I will say that there are some vegetables, that tomatoes, for example, that they're more bioavailable when you cook them. and others where you want to minimally cook them. The less cooking, the better. So who wants to take this one about cooking and the nutrition in cruciferous vegetables? Cruciferous vegetables is a huge group of vegetables, so it will vary, of course.
So it depends. It depends on you, actually. Some people have like digestive issues and they can't handle a lot of raw cruciferous or raw anything. So cooking them is not bad if you you're going to digest it better than if it goes right through you because you have digestive issues. And then put a little bit of mustard powder or a little bit of something that you can digest. Like sprouts are pretty easy to digest, so a little bit of raw cruciferous on it. But no, it depends on your body.
Yeah, and some things, even though, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure as you cook broccoli, you take away from its nutrition. That's why, the ideal way is to gently steam it. But it's better eating it than not eating it. And some people find it just too hard. And so yesterday I was making this really nice cauliflower curry dish, and everybody loved it. It was quite good. But when I was cutting the cauliflower, I couldn't help but eat the raw cauliflower. I love raw cauliflower. There's a sweetness, there's a unique flavor. You lose some of it in the cooking. Cooked cauliflower is great too. And I was thinking as I was cooking this, why don't I cook with cauliflower more often? Roasted cauliflower is great. Cauliflower is good in so many ways. I should really cook with it more often. By the way, Lee, I'm sorry, the recipes are here. And for everybody, the recipes are at tinyurl.com/so many cruciferous recipes. You'll want to capitalize the M, the C, and the R. It's a little bit different from every other shows because it was just too long. It normally should say so many cruciferous vegetables recipes, but it doesn't. So it's so many cruciferous recipes after tiny URL. So that's the link. All right. You're quite welcome, Lee. Thanks for watching. Let's see some more questions have come in. And this is again by Judith. Can you eat raw Brussels sprouts?
Absolutely. I made a Brussels sprout slaw last weekend that was amazing. Just shredded it up. Yeah, it was fantastic.
One recipe I haven't made in like 20 years, but I should make it, it's so time consuming, is I remove the individual leaves of Brussels sprouts. I have it written up someplace, and then it may be similar to what you do. And then that's the only way I've ever eaten raw Brussels sprouts. But I have to mix it with some things. The leaves by themselves don't taste really good to me.
We like to shred up the Brussels sprouts and put them on homemade pizzas. That's a really good way to eat it.
Yeah, I remember you do that. That's really neat. Now, here's a question from Janet Doe. So, Janet, thanks for your question. Does jarred garlic have the sulfonates? So, Karen, did you want to answer this one? And you can also talk a little bit about the benefit of chopping and waiting.
Yeah, the garlic and onion, just same thing as the allium vegetables, same thing as as the cruciferous. Like if you combine the precursor and the enzyme, let it sit for a minute, it makes like cancer protective and the whole host anti-inflammatory, all kinds of benefits. I'm not really sure. I've never looked into the garlic. If it's not like cooked, or even if it's cooked, I guess, it would be chopped, and if it's chopped and in a jar, I guess it would be forming the compound.
And related to that, we have a new question, not a new question, but a question that's been lingering for a while. And you've already kind of answered it, but can you just once more talk a little bit more about sulfur compounds in general and why they're good for us?
Oh yeah, they're anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. They actually have been shown to, like the cancer cells get these blood vessels to the cancer cells, and it actually stops those from growing, the blood vessels to the cancer cells. So it's cancer protective, it's cardiovascular protective. Inflammation causes just about every ill that you have, and it's anti-inflammatory.
Doesn't sulforaphane also increase what they call cell autophagy, or apoptosis, where it causes the naturally programmed death of the cell to go ahead and occur even in cancer cells. So it's sulforaphane, and it's linked to the reduced risk of prostate, breast, colon, and oral cancers. So, but it has something to do with also the improving cell apoptosis, meaning the already pre-programmed cell death, trying to get cancer cells to go ahead and die. So something to do with that. But
Kathy made some interesting comments. I know who you're talking about, Kathy. I remember when I was a kid, so says Kathy, many years ago, maybe not that many years ago, the president at the time, I think it's George W. Bush, I think said of all foods, he hated broccoli, or maybe it was his dad, George H.W. Bush. Ever since then, I've always watched who ate it, and who didn't. I love it. And I wonder if that statement influenced people. It's an interesting comment. We're living through a political period where the presidential election's coming up, and I encourage everybody to vote. It's not far away. It's amazing how quickly the election's coming. So it's a good recollection. And Kathy goes on to ask a question. Karen, do you know of castor oil? I remember when I was a little kid, people would talk about castor oil and the benefits, and cod liver oil. um, if applied as a poultice, help stop cancer growth or discourage it. I've heard some incredible things about castor oil. Let's take it. Let's have Cody answer this first, because Cody's a nurse, and then maybe Karen or Carolyn can add to that.
Okay, sorry, I was typing something out. I was typing the nutritionfacts.com is a good resource for our topic today for sulforaphane. So if people want more information, they can go there. And there's videos on there from Dr. Michael Greger. So I'm sorry, and what was the question you wanted me to talk about?
Castor oil as a poultice, does it help stop cancer growth?
I don't know about castor oil. I'd have to look that one up.
Okay. Karen or Carolyn?
Yeah, just from experience, I know someone who had a melanoma, and we put castor oil and turmeric, made a paste, and it was actually shrinking it.
Wow.
Now, Penelope has an interesting comment. So she's talking to Cody. Hey, Cody, I live in Atlanta, but was born and raised in Omaha. Just got back from there Tuesday. So,
Oh, that's awesome, Penelope. Well, next time you're in town, you'll have to look me up.
and Penelope, a special comment for you is we have a wonderful, she hasn't been on for a while, hopefully next month. Shobha Swami is one of our cooks in the kitchen, a Food for Life instructor. And she, uh, I'll brag about her. She does such a great job in Atlanta. I've been to her house. My daughter and I've been to her house. She has monthly gatherings at her house, and she does all these great programs. So Penelope, if you contact me, you can reach any of us with our first name at somanycooks.com. So Dilip, D-I-L-I-P, at somanycooks.com. If you want to, I'd be glad to put you in touch. Or you can just send it directly to Shobha, S-H-O-B-H-A, Shobha at somanycooks.com. She's a great person to know. My wife and I went to a wedding about a month ago, and we were sitting at this table with this lovely couple from Atlanta, and they both, or one of them works for the CDC. And so I connected them as well. They showed some interest in plant-based eating. So Shobha is a great person to know. So Penelope, if you contact me, I'll put you in touch with Shobha. She's just a powerhouse. Okay, and then let's see. Yeah, Cody was talking about nutrition facts. Fabulous resource. Some two amazing resources you guys should know about if you don't already is pcrm.org. We're all Food for Life instructors through Physicians Committee. They do a great job picking us. I'm just so impressed with every single Food for Life instructor. They're all just great. Like we were talking about this, Cody, when we were together in Omaha, that just the way we cook is slightly different, but we learn from each other. You're excellent at the way you cook, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good too. We pick up tips, and all of us know a fair amount about nutrition. So Physicians Committee is a great resource for all things nutrition. And then Cody was talking about, Penelope knows Shobha. Look at that. Excellent. That's so good. So, Cody, why don't you take just a moment to talk about nutrition facts and Dr. Michael Greger? He's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a really great resource. He really dives into nutrition research. So he does videos to actually show you the research articles that he's utilizing. He calls out fake research, and it's just such a wonderful resource. He's full of energy. He likes to travel around and be guest speakers at locations like cruises. He was at ICNM last year.
What's ICNM?
He loves the International Conference on Nutrition Medicine in Washington, D.C., hosted by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and that is a mouthful. But he likes to wear his broccoli ties and his broccoli shirts, and so he's a huge promoter of cruciferous vegetables. So he's got such great resources on his website. So I would definitely check out nutritionfacts.com, right? Is it .com or .org? I think it's
.org. .org.
.org. Okay, sorry about that. So .org. Yeah, so look into that. You'll learn so much, and then you're just gonna like learn all sorts of other topics that you're interested in. So you could spend hours on that website.
He's amazing because he has committed to looking at every single research article that has to do with nutrition and reading it and translating it so even people who aren't specialists can understand. And it's all evidence based and has footnotes and references, and there's nothing like it. Nutritionfacts.org is really excellent. We're lucky. I'll speak for myself, but I know it's true for Karen, Cody, and Carolyn as well. Is we do a lot in our lives besides plant-based nutrition. We advocate for lots of things. I was the chair of the city's bicycle committee, and I help put bike racks in buses. I teach math. But this is one thing, plant-based eating, that there's so much evidence, so overwhelming evidence that this is the way to go. And so it's great to have resources like Michael Greger to back us up and say, yep, here's the mountain of evidence that suggests this is true. So Michael Greger is and he's just such a nice guy. If you ever get a chance to see his talks are entertaining and just great.
He's hilarious.
He is. That's right. There's a little bit of behind the scenes chat going on about Karen's dog, who looks a lot like Cody's dog.
I'm like, they could be cousins. I don't know. Mine's still laying on the floor over here. I have to bring her over. She's
right behind me in her bed right there.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Karen, can you tell us how many people, who are the questioners so far, and we'll do the draw soon.
Yeah, I had Janet Doe, Lee Hay, Linda Pittman, and Judith Henry. And I had one more thing that I forgot to mention about
Sure.
cruciferous vegetables. Most of them, they're loaded with calcium, and the calcium in the plants is a lot more bioavailable than the calcium in like dairy. So you need less of it if you're getting it through plants. So it's a good way to get your calcium, especially collard greens.
Mm-hmm.
Judith has a comment that I can never pronounce his last name, Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, I think. So he spoke at ICNM. How is it pronounced?
Bulsiewicz.
So he has a book, Fiber Fueled, and then Dr. Joel Furman, Eat to Live. Joel Furman's also in the movie Vegucated, right? There's a film, Vegucated. It's not so new anymore. It's a good film. Vegucated is about a challenge that was given to people to go without meat and dairy and be vegan for, what was it, a month or something. And it was very interesting. And they follow these people. And they address really interesting questions. What if you say, yeah, I get it, and I've been eating all these foods, but I want to go plant-based. So what do I do with the stuff in my freezer, right? So there's no good answer to that. So one family who was in this film immediately donated all of it to somebody else. We I think my daughter picked up something from a grocery store, some vegan macaroni and cheese, but she accidentally picked up one which wasn't vegan. So what we were thinking of returning, but my wife just said she's going to just donate it to a food pantry or something. So there's different ways of handling things that's in your home that's not vegan. And then there was another family that made the decision that, well, we bought it and this is going to be our last meal of eating this kind of food. So there's really no answer, but it's whatever works for you. So anyhow, that's a good film. And then a comment from Patricia. Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. Yeah, it sounds like you just joined. So we had a good show. We're still on the show. We'll wrap up soon, but a lot of good. I think the recipes this time were all uniform. I mean, they're always uniformly excellent. I'd like to make all of them. They were all so good. The idea of a green salad, of a green sandwich, that was what Susanna's, right? That was really neat. I hadn't thought about that. I'm going to do that in the coming days, I think. All right, so Karen, who do we have for who's asked questions, and we'll do the draw then based on that.
We've got 4: Janet Doe, Lee Hay, Linda Pittman, and Judith Henry.
So if you asked a question and we didn't write your name, please let us know. We'll wait a minute or so. Last chance to be in the drawing. Penelope, you had a couple comments, but no questions. So let's see if you come up with a question. And Patricia, not too late to ask a question. So comments don't count. There was something that came up during and Carolyn, your mom had some lovely comments. So,
Oh,
so Mrs. May, if you have a question, then please post it. Um, I got to finally. It seems like I've known your mom for a couple of years, and I was so delighted when I got to see you. Carolyn was so kind; she invited my daughter and me to come down to Alabama, and so I got to hang out with her mom. Her mom is so nice, but in person, she's even nicer. She's such
yep.
a nice
She
person.
just had a birthday too.
Happy birthday, Mrs. May.
Mhm.
All right. Any last questions? Did you guys all have fun? Cody, did you have fun cooking with me? I was so happy to be in your kitchen. I love your kitchen.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I don't know if anybody else but me really noticed Nora's hand with the tomato coming in front of the camera. And so if you give me some kind of frowny looks, like, hey, you know better kind of looks at the camera, I was looking at Nora. So I was trying to send her messages with my looks.
I told Cody before the show because, of course, Cody and I recorded ours. We were together in was it July 1st or something, July 2nd or something like that. I think it was July 2nd. And I mentioned, I said, you were frowning during the show. Did I do something? And then she realized it was her lovely daughter who was kind of acting like a second grader.
She was so excited because she went out and picked a tomato in our garden, and she ran through the house and came down and interrupted our recording. And she knew. She's like, I always tell them before we record, I say, okay, we're getting ready to record. Please don't interrupt us. And she had to pick that one moment.
Okay, there are a couple more questions. So Judy Lehigh, good to see you, Judy. Do you use any digestive enzymes to mitigate the effects of the vegetables? So who wants to take that? I don't take any digestive enzymes.
Mm-mm. No.
I will say this, in the old days, it's kind of funny. My mom was a great cook. Um, Wherever we lived, she was like the center of the Indian community. They were immigrants in 1960 when there was less than 13,000 people from South Asia. They were real pioneers.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So she was a great cook. She didn't know much about nutrition. And so I didn't eat a lot of beans. And the rare time I would eat beans, I would have gas. And so I would always, when I go to people's homes, I'd say I was a vegetarian or later a vegan, but I don't eat beans, which is so weird. And I'd say because it bothers my stomach. But the thing about that, and I used to sometimes, if I knew I'd be eating beans, I'd take an enzyme called Beano. But then I realized that your body craves beans, and once you start eating it regularly, it says thank you for eating the right foods, and it's quite ready and welcome for beans. So you don't really need the enzymes once you're used to them. But does anybody? Let's add Judy to the list. Does anybody else want to answer that question? Do you use any digestive enzymes? Or we can broaden the question: are there useful digestive enzymes for foods that are difficult for some to digest?
Sounds more like a Karen question.
I think there is. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but I see my patients on it once in a while. I have to look it up. I don't think it's over the counter. I think it's a prescription, though.
But there are some just over the counter. Like if you have digestive issues, if you're working on healing your digestion, eventually you won't need them. But if you're not digesting food, and you're not going to absorb the nutrients unless you have something break it down. So there's a few good ones.
Now, Penelope does have a question. It's great to see your question, Penelope. So I'm sorry, it sounds like I missed at least one of your questions, so please repost. And you may have asked questions during the show. Those don't count for the giveaway. So one was how long the broccoli salad can be refrigerated. So, Carolyn.
Probably no more than 5 days, I would think. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely make it ahead of time, like a day or two ahead of time, and bring it to a function or whatever. But I probably wouldn't let it go longer than about 5 days.
Penelope, I've done that drive. You're not such a big distance from Carolyn. She has been known to drive up there to eat at a couple cool vegan restaurants. So Penelope wants to join you for eating your salad. Do you have a little bit that she can join you for?
Come on down. 2 hours away.
2 hours, right? And you pass this huge gas station on the way.
Oh gosh, Buc-ee's. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's an event.
Did you know they opened the world's biggest Buc-ee's near me now?
Oh no.
About an hour from me. I had never heard of Buc-ee's until I
I'm
visited
gonna have
you.
to tell my son. He will be thrilled. Oh my.
All right. So do you have the list of questioners now?
Yeah, Janet Doe, Lee Hay, Linda Pittman, Judith Henry, Judy Leahy, and Penelope
Excellent.
D'Antonio.
Let me remind us of what the giveaways are. So the first giveaway is a book. So hats off to Karen. I always, ask Karen to find good gifts, and this is a great find you've made, Karen. I had never heard of this book. It's called, um, uh, it's a woman named Lisa Boyson, and I sent her a message. She may not have gotten it, saying that we found her and we're going to feature her book on our show. So Lisa Boyson, apparently she's whole food, plant-based vegan. She sounds like she could be a Food for Life instructor. She isn't, I don't think. 21 days of cruciferous vegetables. Speaking of which, my friend Kathy, who's a Food for Life instructor in Connecticut, where I grew up, she just came out with a book, and I was chatting with her earlier. I don't know if you're on the show. Hi, Kathy. So I asked Kathy if we could give away her book maybe in a future show. So that would be great. Maybe we could have her
What's it
on.
called?
Oh, I can't remember Kathy's. I can tell you though in just a second.
Okay.
Kathy's book is called. Yeah, I don't have it. Hang on. Oops.
Which
I don't.
Kathy? Kathy who?
I forgot her last name. Starts with
Okay.
G, Graydon or something like that. I'm sorry if you're watching. Go ahead and make a comment, Kathy. she has a new book. She announced it internally to our Food for Life group. So anyhow, we have. If you're on, Kathy, go ahead and comment. And we'd love to feature your book in the future. So the first giveaway is a book called 21 Days of Cruciferous Vegetables. It looks excellent, by Lisa Boyson. And Lisa apparently has a lot of other good work she's done. So check her out. Do a Google on her, and you'll find her website. And the second gift is Veg News. Veg News is an excellent magazine. Colleen Holland is a friend of mine. I've known her since when she just started the magazine. It's been going for like 15 years. I was at a conference with her when she was about to kick it off. So 1 year subscription. Veg News really focuses on veganism, not always necessarily health, but about veganism, but a lot of great plant-based information. So if you want to find the latest and greatest vegan fashions and vegan foods, whether they're healthy or not, new products, it's a great magazine. It's glossy, and so we're giving away a subscription to that. Janet says Texas exports more than barbecue. Oh, are you talking when we were talking about past presidents and broccoli? So the Bushes, is that what you're talking about, or maybe something else? All right, so let's do the drawing. So you added Penelope to the list, right, Karen?
I did.
Okay, so how many numbers should I random number between 1 and what?
6.
Okay, 1 and 6. So I'm going to do a random number drawing. Oh, Buc-ee's. Okay, so Buc-ee's is from Texas. Janet, I don't know if you're in Texas, but Texas is, for me, it feels like Texas and Alaska feel like different countries. When you're in Alaska, and Hawaii's a little bit like that too. Like when you're in Hawaii or Alaska, like in Alaska, they say the lower 48, and they have an affinity with Hawaii, and Hawaii's kind of the same way, right? Right, Cody? But Texas is also that way. It feels like its own country. All right, so the first winner, which would be for the book, is number 5. So who's number 5?
Judy Leahy.
Congratulations, Judy. So if you win a prize, please message us here and say, and let us know you're here. Then email Karen at somanycooks.com. Karen, when you're not on the show, I asked them to copy me, but there's no need to copy me, is there?
I don't know. Sometimes I don't get it, and you have to
Okay.
send it to me.
So copy Dillip at somanycooks.com. Yay, congratulations, Judy. So please confirm that you'll be emailing Karen, and you can copy me as well. And let us know your mailing address. We don't want you to post your mailing address here. You'll get too many gifts from everybody, right? So it's just not a good idea on the internet to share your address, right? So, but do send your mailing address to Karen and me, and then we'll be delighted. Karen will be delighted to send you the book. And if you get a chance, make a comment. Let us know what the book's like. I haven't seen it. So, how did you find the book, Karen?
Just Googled cruciferous cookbook.
Okay, let's do the second drawing for Veg News. Judy, if we draw your number, I think it was 4, then I'll draw again. You don't get to win both prizes. So let's draw. Okay. Oh, you were 5. So if we get 5, we'll draw again. 4. Who's number 4?
Judith Henry.
Judith Henry, congratulations. You get Veg News Magazine. I think you may have won that before, and if you have, we can extend your subscription. So Judith, please confirm that you won and that you will email Karen. And as I recall, Judith, you have both a Virgin Islands address and a Miami address. So of course you do share your Miami address. So Judith, confirm that you're here. Excellent. So Judith, since you won Veg News before, when you email, give us a choice of extending your subscription a year, or if you'd rather get the VRG subscription, that would be fine. Okay. Tell you what, Judith, since you won the subscription, when you email us, Karen, why don't we let her pick either magazine or even the book? We can give 2 copies of the book out. So Judith, you won, and you tell us what you won. Did you win the VRG? Excellent magazine. It's not glossy like the Veg News one is, but it's packed full of information, and it has more of a focus on health. Both great magazines. So let us know if you want the VRG Vegan Journal magazine, or if you want the Veg News magazine, or if you want the book that Judy Lehigh got about 21 Days of Cruciferous Vegetables. Whichever you want, we'll be delighted to send to you. So Judith said that your Judith's here. So Judith, please email Karen at somanycooks.com and copy me, Dilip, at somanycooks.com, and we'll be delighted to get you whichever prize you want. Okay, so do send your address and which prize you'd like. All right, yeah, Judith wants the book, so let's give out both books then. So congratulations, Judith. So please do send your address. Karen may have it from the past, but let's please do send it just so she has it. All right, let's start to wrap up then. I wanted to announce, and maybe Karen doesn't know this, but let me see if I can bring it up. Is we do have our next show, and we usually have it way in advance, but this is the show. So on October 12th, we're going to do a show called So Many Mushrooms. I just put it out there like half an hour before the current show. So we've been talking about this topic for a while, and so that's going to be the topic, is so many mushrooms. Okay, thanks, Judith. I have this idea, and we came up with this idea a couple months ago. I don't wake up early, but I was up early. My daughter was taking the SAT or something, so I went to this farmer's market, and I met this wonderful mushroom farmer, and I asked, "Can we do a program with you?" And they said yes. We haven't connected in terms of the details, so it may or may not be there. If it is there, then we'll start the show there, and I'll have the farmer tell us more about mushrooms, and I'll do a quick dish because they have a kitchen. And if not, I'll do a dish. I love cooking with mushrooms. I had a friend years ago in the Midwest who used to hunt morel mushrooms. Morels are so expensive. I don't even remember how much they are per pound. So she would twice, I think, she would package them in a box and send them FedEx overnight. And I used to just love these morel mushrooms. I would cook them with a little bit of shallot, and that's it, shallot. And it was just so delicious. So we'll see what we all make. Do Karen, Cody, Carolyn, do you guys have any ideas what you'll make for the mushroom show yet?
So I'm not sure, but I want to get a mushroom growing kit and show you what that is like, I guess. So I got to probably order it here soon so it has time to kind of get it ready to go. But those are really fun. And so I'm hoping that will work out and then show you what we can harvest from it and what we can do with it. So.
Yeah, I remember Ava had one once.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
Yeah,
she?
I've gotten a couple of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me interrupt before we go to Carolyn and Karen. Patricia made a really interesting point that she would like to become a Food for Life instructor. Yay! We love being Food for Life instructors. It's very difficult to become one. You have to be, excellent, which I'm sure you are, Patricia. You have to be interviewed and get a background check, and then they pick less than half of people they pick. I know some fabulous people who are at least as good as I am, probably much better, and they weren't picked. I know somebody in particular who tried like 2 or 3 times. So we hope that you would be selected. There is a selection process. If you go to pcrm.org, probably to fflclasses.org, you'll see that. Would any of the 3 of you like to say a little bit about the process?
Sure. So you do apply. There's a long application process. And when I applied, which was quite a while ago, 2015 is when I became a Food for Life instructor. And I think it still holds true. You have to submit a video of yourself cooking and fill out a pretty long application process. And at the time, we did our training in person in Washington, D.C. Now it's all online. And I think it's an 8-week program. online, and you are expected to attend live and in person a specific number of classes. So yeah, and you have to do cooking demos as part of the class and present it to your classmates. And so yeah, it's an involved process, and definitely less than 50. It's probably closer to about 30% of people who apply get accepted. Right now, they are specifically looking for people in certain states, like I think North Dakota, maybe Montana, Idaho, possibly. There's a few states that they really would like to find Food for Life instructors. So we have an instructor in every state. I think there's a few states that don't have instructors, so that's where they're actually actively seeking right now. And they do go based on how many people in your community, not to have too many instructors in one area. So Atlanta has several Food for Life instructors, but Atlanta is huge. And then I'm in Montgomery, Alabama, which is very small compared to Atlanta. So it's just me here.
There's two of us in Durham, North Carolina.
Right. So Durham is much bigger than Montgomery. And so, yeah, your area is a lot bigger than my
And we
area.
have one in Raleigh, and one in Chapel Hill. So in my area, there's 4.
Well, we actually used to have 2 here in Montgomery,
Yeah.
but one retired. So not me.
Oh,
so I'm still
Patricia,
doing
you
it.
know Tracy Childs. That's great. Yeah. So if you
Oh,
know
good.
Tracy,
Okay.
she's a great Food for Life instructor, and
Yes.
you can
She's in
work with
California, isn't she?
San Diego. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Highly recommend, Patricia, you apply. Food for Life is an amazing program. This is one group of people that I can unhesitatingly recommend. If I never knew Karen Osborne in Texas, and I had a friend who lived near her, I'd look her up and I'd say, hey, there's a woman named Karen Osborne. I know she's fabulous. I mean, I do know she's fabulous, but if I never knew her, I would know that, right? Just because they do such a good job picking us. We all know a lot about food. We know a lot about plant-based eating. We know a lot about nutrition. We have monthly education. We have a conference every year. It's a great program. It just, the staff, the full-time folks at PCRM are amazing. Such a great organization. So, and if you in the audience are interested in PCRM but aren't interested in becoming a Food for Life instructor, the magazine is great, and I encourage you to consider contributions, donations to PCRM. PCRM does so much good work. So thanks, Patricia. Good luck, and let's hope that you become a fellow Food for Life instructor. Before we did the interruption, Carolyn and Karen were going to say something about something. I forgot what it was. About mushrooms. What are you thinking of doing for your mushroom
What we're
dish?
making. I was thinking, because I made it over the Labor Day weekend, mushroom bacon, which is funny because I just made tempeh bacon, but mushroom bacon was a big hit last weekend at my mom's house for Labor Day. So I may do that again just because it was really, really good and very easy. And for people who maybe don't like mushrooms, and there's a lot of people out there who don't like mushrooms, it's one good way to try mushrooms and use it in a sandwich or throw it on top of a salad, and it has a bacony, and you can make it kind of crispy if you want to. So
before we ask Karen, I mean, we don't know if Karen will be able to cook, but if she would, maybe if you can't cook, would you like to do the same similar thing that we did today, perhaps, and talk about nutrition? Because it's great having you on the show, Karen.
It's good to be here. I might. I have a lot of things I've committed to, like my rally, and then the class that I'm teaching, and we're doing the Texas Fruit Festival here. So,
but if you were cooking, what do you think you would have done if you would be able to?
Maybe scallops or barbecue.
Okay. Now, Kathy Sabo makes a really good point. I'd love information on how to forage for mushrooms. And I didn't think of that because there's so many poisonous mushrooms. Wouldn't it be cool if somebody, not me, who knows about this, their segment could be walking through the woods. You're on next, and then there you are in the woods and showing us how to forage. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I know nothing about that.
Nor do I. So
not
great
even going to
suggestion,
risk
Kathy.
it.
I used to go hunting for morel mushrooms years ago.
did?
But now I don't really have a spot to go. So, and it's not that season anymore. It has to be like springtime season for that.
They're so tasty, aren't they? Morels are amazing.
Sure. But there's books you can get, but you really need to look for your region of the United States for the books specifically for those mushrooms. So you can search on Amazon or just wherever you like to buy your books and look up. You should be able to find some kind of really great resources with really good detailed pictures is important.
So that's the show. So many mushrooms. And then let me just throw this out there is last year this is like our 52nd show. So we've done so many holiday shows, November and December. So last year we said, let's give us a break and we decided to reprise some of our favorite holiday recipes for November and December for Thanksgiving and the holidays. We might do that again this year, or we might not. I know that all of us have tons of ideas, so we'd love your feedback. Did you like the reprises? Because the nice thing about the reprises, we did it at different times. They were short shows. They were like no Q&A. It was like 30 minutes, and we did one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday. I think we did a midweek one, so we can craft together. We wouldn't be live there. Maybe I think one of us was always there taking questions, right? So it was just a short show. So we'll put that out there. If anybody has an opinion, let us know whether we should do another live show in November, December, or whether we should just do the holiday thing again, because we have so many good holiday recipes and it'd be fun to bring them back up. So there's benefits both ways. I don't yet have an opinion. I don't know if you guys do, but in the audience, if you have any thoughts, let us know. So if we are doing live shows, then November, December will be holiday shows. And if we're doing reprise, those will be holiday ones too, because at least in America, November is a big holiday. Thanksgiving, I host the country's biggest vegetarian Thanksgiving. Come on over to North Carolina. Before the pandemic, we had regulars who flew in from Canada, from Florida, from California. Nobody from any other countries other than Canada. We always had folks from who drove from the Pennsylvania, New York, two families from Chicago. So come on down to North Carolina for that. But so in the United States, November is a big holiday. It's big in Canada because they have their own Thanksgiving. I think it's early November. And then, of course, December, there's all sorts of holidays. There's Hanukkah, there's Christmas, there's Eid. Eid, I think, is a little bit earlier. Diwali's a little bit earlier. So there's lots of holidays in December and year end, New Year's Eve. So that's what the future looks like. And then start sending ideas if you'd like for our January and February shows. It's not that far away, and we can start thinking about those as well. We'd like to have at least 3 or 4 in the hopper, and I feel a little bit bad. We only have 1 in the hopper right now, maybe 3 if we count the holiday ones. So let us know any thoughts. Thanks everybody for joining us. Karen, especially nice to see you. I've missed you. I know I talk to you pretty often, but I don't get to see you. And in spite of your accident, you look just as radiant and beautiful as always. So it's great to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Oh, and Janet says pizza show. That's one idea we bandied about as well. I love the idea. Maybe January should be a pizza show. And you know who's the queen of pizza is Miss Cody. She has pizza every Friday in her house, and the kids get to make their own pizzas.
Yeah.
How come the 2 times I visited you, I didn't get your pizza?
I don't know. We had other plans, I guess, Philip.
I love pizza. Can I make a quick plug? I hurt my back and it's been hard cooking. I'm back to cooking with a little bit of help. And so my family was away one day. And so I like occasionally getting frozen pizza. And I prefer it with no cheese. Sometimes, my daughter likes to put some vegan cheese on it. So Whole Foods Market now has my favorite. I think it used to be, there's a company out of Vermont. I forgot what it's called. They were my favorite, and they might still be my favorite. But Whole Foods, their less expensive store brand of vegan pizza is outstanding. It has vegan cheese on it and too much cheese. It's higher in fat than I'd like. But in spite of the too much vegan cheese, their crust is really good. So
we don't have a Whole Foods anymore, so wow. But there is one brand here in Montgomery I found at Fresh Market called Blackbird Pizza, and it's from New York.
I've heard of it.
And it's excellent. So it's actually on sale right now at Fresh Market. So
it's so easy to make a great homemade vegan pizza. So maybe that should be an upcoming show.
Maybe I'll make a cauliflower crust. We'll see.
There used to be a brand.
I just want to thank Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy, for the kind comment. There used to be a crust I used to love from San Francisco, and it was a cornmeal crust, and I loved it. I loved the crust, but they're not available anymore. All right, so let me roll the credits. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you guys in in about a month for a show
October
on
12th.
Mushrooms. October 12th, so a little over a month. So thanks for watching. We loved having you guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
So many cooks in the kitchen. So many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share. So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.